because I live in a big house or I dress a certain way. Or maybe it's because I like Barry Manilow.
Doesn't go away.
Every country in the world, that is the thing that I am most known for. No matter how big the movies get, it's fresh.
You might think you've heard it all about the Banks family and their West Philadelphia-born houseguest who flipped their lives upside down. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air gave us iconic fashion, unforgettable one-liners, and heartwarming life lessons. But what if we told you that some of the most surprising moments happened off-screen? While the show made history as a cultural phenomenon, there's a side of the cast's experience that fans rarely get to see. Get ready to uncover 8 compelling reveals and behind-the-scenes truths that even the most dedicated viewers never figured out.
Yo, baby, I know your feet must be tired because you've been running through my mind all day. Come here, girl.
Before Will Smith became the beloved star of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he faced an intense financial crisis that few fans ever knew about. Back in the late 1980s, even though he was winning Grammys as part of the rap duo DJ Jazzy Jeff and The Fresh Prince, Will was struggling with a shocking amount of debt, nearly $3 million owed to the IRS. The core problem? He had been living far beyond his means, splurging on flashy cars, jewelry, and supporting a big entourage, all while neglecting to pay his taxes. The IRS didn't take kindly to this and seized many of his possessions, even garnishing up to 70% of his salary for the first few seasons of Fresh Prince. It was a period marked by financial chaos that brought him close to bankruptcy. During this dark time, Will had to make tough choices. He sold almost everything he owned in Philadelphia and decided to try his luck in Los Angeles. With no steady income, he even borrowed $10,000 from a friend with a dubious background, a purveyor of neighborhood pharmaceuticals, as he humorously described during a talk show appearance. Despite the gravity of his situation, he maintained a sense of humor about it, joking about his unlikely lender as a character out of a TV crime series. This period of struggle was the backdrop to his impromptu audition at Quincy Jones's house, which earned him the leading role on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, a show that ultimately changed his life and career trajectory forever. The financial crisis didn't just test his resilience, but also fueled his drive. Even as the IRS garnished much of his early Fresh Prince salary, this show was his big break into acting and entertainment stardom. He used this opportunity to learn and carefully plan his steps toward becoming one of Hollywood's biggest names. Today, Will Smith is celebrated not only for his charisma and talent, but also for overcoming those early financial hurdles that almost derailed his career. This reveal is a reminder that even the brightest stars shine after weathering serious storms. It also adds a new layer of appreciation for his journey from a broke rapper with tax debts to a global icon beloved by millions.
Well, yeah, it's just a loan till his sneaker endorsement comes through, around 2010.
Oh, Will, that was very commendable, but that's not what that money was raised for.
Come on, Uncle Philip. You said I got a break and I was supposed to give somebody else a break, so I gave the money to Ramon.
He's right, Philip, you did say that.
One of the most jaw-dropping reveals from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air cast is the story behind Will Smith's severe financial crisis involving the IRS seizure of his possessions and salary garnishment. Before Will became a household name and icon, he was a young artist deeply in trouble with the IRS, owing nearly $3 million in unpaid federal taxes. This wasn't just a simple debt, it was a full-blown financial disaster that threatened not only his career, but his very livelihood. Because of this massive tax debt, the IRS took drastic action. They seized many of Will's most ostentatious purchases, including cars and other valuables. The irony was harsh. While fans and co-stars saw a Grammy-winning rapper's success story, behind the scenes, Will was actually broke. He had to take public buses between scenes on set because the government had confiscated his cars. Even more crushing was the fact that 70% of his Fresh Prince of Bel-Air salary was garnished by the IRS for the first 3 seasons to pay off his tax debt. So, while he was gaining fame and popularity, the majority of his paycheck was quietly disappearing before he could enjoy it. This garnishment meant that Will was essentially making a star-level salary, yet staying broke. He described this experience as a terrible combination, being famous and yet financially strapped, leading to a lot of humiliation. This situation put immense pressure on the young actor. The constant reminder of his financial troubles affected him emotionally, leading to moments where his stress came through on set. Yet, despite all of this adversity, Will pushed forward and used the opportunity the show provided to completely rebuild his life and career slowly but steadily. His financial crisis also forced him to reevaluate and reshape his life decisions. In a bid to survive, Will sold almost everything he owned and moved to Los Angeles, looking for a fresh start. This crisis became a critical turning point for him, ultimately leading to his breakout role in the sitcom that would catapult him to stardom. The fact that his salary was being garnished by the IRS while filming some of TV's most iconic comedic moments is a story that adds new depth to the show's backstory and to Will's rise to success. This reveal is a powerful example of how close Will Smith came to bankruptcy and how he weathered the storm through resilience, talent, and a little bit of luck. It's almost surreal to think that while millions laughed with him on screen, off-screen he was facing one of the most challenging chapters of his life. His experience teaches an important lesson about financial responsibility and perseverance in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. This IRS saga from the early 1990s truly places Will Smith's Fresh Prince legacy in a new light, not just as a story of fame and fun, but also as a story of survival and triumph over near financial ruin.
It was a bet.
A bet. I don't care. Carlton, you are not going to MacArthur Park tonight. In fact, none of you are going to MacArthur Park tonight.
Wait a minute.
Boy, do not test me.
Janet Hubert, the original Aunt Viv on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, left the show after the third season under circumstances that remained a mystery to many fans for years. Contrary to popular belief, Janet was not simply fired. Instead, she chose to reject a contract renewal offer that she felt was unfair and limiting. The new contract included a significant pay cut, a reduction in her working weeks to just 10, and terms that would prevent her from accepting other acting jobs during that period. Her agent advised her not to accept it, but the producers never came back with a better offer, effectively pushing her out. Janet viewed this situation as an attempt to put her in her place and control her career, which she was unwilling to accept. Beyond contract disputes, Janet faced significant personal challenges at the time that profoundly affected her demeanor on set. She was going through a difficult and abusive marriage and had recently given birth to her son, factors unknown to most of the cast and crew. These struggles contributed to her withdrawing from on-set relationships and created visible tension, such as being told she had to go to her dressing room between takes because she wasn't laughing at Will's jokes. Janet felt isolated and unsupported. She believed the cast was incentivized financially to turn against her, which deepened the sense of alienation. There were also creative differences and personal clashes, especially with Will Smith. Will once remarked that Janet wanted the show to revolve around her character, the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air, rather than him, which contributed to their fallout. On the other hand, Janet expressed strong frustrations with the way Will treated her, considering him an egomaniac who had not matured at that point. Their relationship remained strained for decades, until they reconciled in 2020 during the show's 30-year reunion. Will apologized for his past behavior, acknowledging he had underestimated her importance to the show and regretted how he treated her. Janet has made it clear that her departure was not simply about creative differences, as often reported, but was a complex mix of contract issues, personal hardships, and workplace tension. She also commented that the pay cut and reduced episodes in her contract made it impossible for her to support herself adequately, prompting her to take a stand. The recasting of Aunt Viv with Daphne Maxwell Reid after Janet's exit was an immediate response to her contract refusal. The real story behind Janet Hubert's exit reveals the difficult realities actors sometimes face in the industry, especially women of color navigating creative control, personal challenges, and professional respect. It also highlights the impact of off-screen struggles on what fans see on their screens. For many years, fans did not fully grasp how much Janet sacrificed and struggled behind the scenes, making this reveal both eye-opening and deeply human.
How come you don't want me, man?
One of the most striking and lesser-known aspects behind the laughter on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air set were the emotional breakdowns experienced by the cast, especially during some of the show's most serious and heartfelt moments. Though the series is celebrated for its humor and iconic catchphrases, it also tackled deeper themes like family struggles, identity, and abandonment, which sometimes brought unexpected waves of raw emotion to the actors while filming. Will Smith, in particular, went through especially intense emotional challenges. A seminal emotional moment came during the episode Papa's Got a Brand New Excuse, where Will's character confronts the pain of his absentee father leaving once again. This episode marked a turning point not only for the show, but for Will Smith's growth as an actor. On set, it was the first time Will had to cry on camera, transitioning from the lighthearted comedic style he'd mastered to delivering genuine, heart-wrenching emotion. The pressure to get the scene right caused him to keep messing up his lines, leaving him emotionally frustrated. Fortunately, James Avery, who played Uncle Phil, acted as a mentor and anchor. Avery comforted and guided Will, telling him to stop acting and instead be in the moment, allowing the tears to flow naturally. The result is one of television's most touching scenes, reflecting the complex feelings of abandonment and longing, and it resonated deeply with viewers and the cast alike. The studio audience that day was uncharacteristically silent, as the mood on set was so unlike the usual lively, comedic energy. Everyone, cast, crew, and audience, was affected by the intensity and vulnerability displayed. This was a rare glimpse into the depth beneath what was often seen as just a sitcom. Behind the scenes, Will was dealing with his own pressures, navigating his new acting role, and his emotional journey fueled by this challenging performance. The experience marked an important maturity point in his career, transforming him from a charismatic rapper into a skilled dramatic actor. Other cast members also had moments of emotional strain, often influenced by their personal lives. Janet Hubert, the original Aunt Viv, experienced hardships off-screen that affected her on-set relationships and performances. James Avery was known as the stable, fatherly figure, not just to his character, Uncle Phil, but also off-screen, where he offered emotional support to his younger castmates. The emotional breakdowns behind the scenes showed that although the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is remembered for humor, it also carried real-life emotional weight that the actors felt deeply. These moments of vulnerability contributed to the show's lasting impact and authenticity. Making it more than just a comedy, it became a powerful, relatable story about family, resilience, and growth.
So, Janet, how long have you been in town?
Well, I just moved out here. I got a scholarship to go to UCLA.
Well, we certainly know who got the brains in your family.
Yeah, but Janet ain't stupid.
During the show's original run, the most notorious cast conflict was the protracted fallout between Will Smith and Janet Hubert, who played Aunt Vivian for the first 3 seasons. When Hubert departed in 1993, the official reason given was creative differences. But behind the scenes, Smith claimed she left because of her ego, which he described on a local Atlanta radio station. Hubert, in turn, alleged Smith had made her working life intolerable, sparking a feud that stretched across nearly 30 years and played out both in interviews and social media. Their disputes were intensified by contract disagreements, Hubert's personal struggles, including an abusive marriage and pregnancy, and the feelings of isolation she experienced on set. Other actors, such as Alfonso Ribeiro, Carlton, were also caught in the tension, sometimes publicly criticizing Hubert. Even years later, during cast reunions and social media posts, the tension lingered. Hubert notably refused to attend in-person meetups and commented online about never wishing for a true reunion. But the turning point arrived in 2020, when the original cast reunited for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air 30-year reunion special on HBO Max. For the first time in almost 3 decades, Will Smith and Janet Hubert sat down face-to-face and spoke openly about their pain. Hubert revealed the extent to which Smith's words and actions hurt her career and reputation, specifically highlighting how labeling her difficult was especially damaging for a black woman in Hollywood. She explained how the cast's isolation compounded her suffering. Smith acknowledged his role and apologized for misjudging Hubert, admitting he'd made the set very difficult for her. This emotional exchange led to a renewed relationship. The two continued their healing journey on Red Table Talk, and now frequently exchange messages, making clear that the feud is a thing of the past. The reconciliation didn't just heal wounds between Smith and Hubert. The reunion special also brought Janet together, with hugs and honest conversation with her replacement, Daphne Maxwell Reid, as well as other cast members. Karen Parsons, Hillary, described the meeting of the two Aunt Vivs as the most incredible thing, a powerful celebration of new beginnings. Over time, the cast conflict story has evolved from public rifts to mutual respect, candid apologies, and authentic healing. Will Smith publicly reflected that his misjudgment of Hubert had been a horrible error, and Hubert herself has commented that she feels so good about where things stand now. Their journey serves as a poignant reminder that reconciliation, even after decades, can bring profound relief, new understanding, and allow everyone to truly celebrate the legacy of the Fresh Prince as a united family.
Hit the brake, Will!
What in the hell are you doing?
I'm sorry, man. It ain't my fault. I panicked. That squirrel came out of nowhere.
Behind the dazzling charisma and effortless humor that made Will Smith the beloved star of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air lies a side few fans have ever glimpsed his hidden vulnerabilities. While audiences saw the confident, quick-witted, and always fresh persona on screen, the reality was that Will faced a myriad of personal insecurities, pressures, and emotional challenges that shaped not just his career, but also his character. Before his rise to fame, Will confronted serious struggles, including an overwhelming financial crisis with the IRS and a rocky transition from a music career to acting. But beneath those external challenges, there was a young man battling self-doubt about whether he truly belonged in Hollywood. His move from Philadelphia to Los Angeles was filled with uncertainty. He had no idea if his talents as a rapper would translate on the small screen. Early on, during auditions and rehearsals for The Fresh Prince, he often felt out of place, aware of being the new guy with more street cred than acting experience. The pressure to succeed in a brand new field weighed heavily on him. Early filming days brought moments of self-consciousness and emotional overwhelm. For instance, filming serious scenes was difficult. Will's natural comedic instincts made it hard to tap into vulnerability. Yet those dramatic moments required a depth he was still discovering. The famous episode in which Will's character confronts his absent father mirrors some of these real-life challenges, highlighting the emotional depths he was learning to access as an actor. Will also struggled in balancing his on-screen persona with his private self. The smooth, confident, fresh Prince became a mask to hide moments of anxiety and insecurity. He has spoken candidly about the loneliness fame can bring and the burden of being seen as the funny one who can always lighten the mood even when he wasn't feeling that way inside. The constant public attention created tension with his sense of authenticity, where he wrestled with being true to himself versus meeting external expectations. Personal relationships also illuminated his vulnerabilities. At times, Smith's youthful ego and ambition created friction with castmates and colleagues, manifesting as moments of defensiveness or being misunderstood. Over time, these interpersonal conflicts forced him to confront his own flaws and grow emotionally, learning humility and empathy as his career soared. Despite all the external glitz and success, Will Smith's journey was one of grappling with hidden fears, the fear of failure, rejection, and not living up to his potential. Yet, these vulnerabilities became his strengths. By embracing and expressing them through his art, he connected authentically with audiences, conveying not just laughter, but real emotion and struggle. This raw honesty is why The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air resonates deeply decades later. It's a story about embracing just who you are, imperfections and all. Ultimately, Will Smith's hidden vulnerabilities reveal a man who transformed adversity into opportunity, insecurity into confidence, and vulnerability into power. It's a testament to the human side of fame and the journey of growth that everyone goes through, even those who seem to have it all together on screen. Knowing his struggles behind the scenes makes his success not just legendary, but profoundly inspiring. A true story of overcoming and authenticity.
Helen, I'm Will. Welcome to our humble crib.
Oh, Ashley, this must be that houseboy you were telling me about.
That's Homeboy, Helen.
The story of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air cast is not just one of laughter and family bonds. It's also a complex tapestry woven with threads of loyalty, betrayal, and painful unspoken truths. One of the most revealing accounts came from the cast themselves, exposing layers of emotional and professional betrayal that many fans never imagined behind the scenes. At the heart of it was Will Smith's desperation to survive a financial crisis that was spiraling out of control. His IRS debt, which had led to the government seizing his possessions and garnishing 7 of his salary during the first 3 seasons, created immense pressure. This pressure manifested in a controlling and aggressive attitude on set. While the cast initially supported Will through his early inexperience as he transitioned from a rapper to an actor, the dynamic drastically shifted as the show soared in popularity. When the supporting cast approached Will with a reasonable request for collective salary negotiations to share in the show's booming success, Will responded with a cold and final refusal, stating, "My deal is my deal, and y'all's deal is y'all's deal." This response shocked the cast, who had seen him as family and a teammate. Instead, they saw someone prioritizing his survival over their collective success, which sowed seeds of betrayal and isolation. The tension intensified around the contractual conflicts surrounding Janet Hubert's departure. Hubert had been a vocal leader among the cast in advocating for collective bargaining. Meanwhile, Will's camp worked against her behind the scenes, reportedly blackballing her from other acting opportunities and damaging her professional reputation. Janet was already navigating personal challenges, including a difficult marriage and new motherhood, making the professional attacks even more painful and isolating. This created a lasting sense of betrayal, not just professionally, but personally, that cast long shadows over the show's production and beyond. Unspoken truths lingered for decades as the cast wrestled with these fractured relationships privately and publicly. Elements of resentment, fear, and misunderstandings went unaddressed, with many supporting cast members feeling sidelined or undervalued, while Will's star power grew. For years, Janet Hubert's career suffered drastically, and her pleas for reconciliation were often ignored, even amid personal tragedies like the death of her father and brother. Yet, despite these betrayals and broken relationships, the story is not one of permanent division. Years later, as the cast reunited decades after the show ended, deep conversations were held that put many unspoken truths on the table. Will Smith offered heartfelt apologies, recognized his previous mistakes, and acknowledged the real pain caused. Janet Hubert accepted the apologies and finally felt seen and heard in a way that helped mend old wounds. This reconciliation symbolized a powerful transformation from betrayal back to a fragile but genuine loyalty among the cast who had been through so much together. The loyalty, betrayal, and unspoken truths behind the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air cast reveal the complex realities of working relationships when careers and personal lives collide. The show's behind-the-scenes drama mirrors the challenges of family and loyalty in real life, underscoring how difficult it can be to balance ambition, survival, and respect. These revelations add new depth to the beloved series, showing that even in a show about family, real family dynamics, both good and bad, are always at play.
Will, I hate to rain on your fashion parade, but the Mom's Mabley look is definitely passé.
I was trying to take a shower, but it ain't no water pressure because somebody broke the 3-minute.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air had a massive impact on not only Will Smith's career, but also on popular culture and black representation on television. The sitcom launched in 1992 as a unique blend of hip-hop culture and traditional sitcom format, making hip-hop more accessible to mainstream audiences while tackling serious social topics like racial profiling, substance abuse, and family struggles. This balance helped the show resonate with millions and continues to keep it relevant in pop culture decades later. Will Smith's vibrant portrayal of a street-smart teenager moving into an affluent family painted more nuanced and diverse images of black life than had often been seen on TV before. The show's legacy goes beyond comedy. It shifted perceptions and opened doors for future black actors and creators. For Will Smith, the show was the springboard into megastardom. Before Fresh Prince, Smith was a moderately successful rapper, but transitioning into acting was a gamble since he had no formal acting experience. The show's success made him a household name, and led to a career in blockbuster films, including Independence Day and Men in Black. Smith's enduring fame is built on the foundation Fresh Prince laid, demonstrating how the sitcom transformed him from a musician to an international superstar. Yet, his fame also came with challenges, including managing complex professional relationships and personal vulnerabilities behind the scenes. The impact of the show is also cultural and social. Fresh Prince introduced hip-hop culture to a broad audience in a way that was family-friendly and relatable, shaping how hip-hop integrated into mainstream culture. Its storylines explored difficult issues with humor and heart, resonating across generations. Lines, moments, and characters from the show became iconic and continue to influence memes, references, and creative works today. As noted by critics and scholars, the show remains a landmark for how Black identity and American family life are portrayed in media, blending comedy with important cultural conversations. Moreover, the legacy extends to the cast and crew. The reunions and retrospectives reveal how the show's impact went far beyond the screen, shaping careers and personal lives in profound ways. Though the behind-the-scenes stories include conflicts and struggles, the overall legacy is one of breakthrough and boundary pushing. The story of the Fresh Prince is one of resilience, growth, and the power of storytelling to change perceptions and lives. Its continuing popularity in reruns and streaming services shows how fame created by this show is not fleeting, but enduring, and its legacy is cemented in pop culture history. Well, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air left an indelible mark on television and culture. It launched Will Smith into superstardom while expanding the portrayal of Black life on screen. The show's blend of humor, heart, and cultural relevance shaped the era and still inspires audiences and creators. Fame and legacy for the cast involved triumphs and challenges, but ultimately, the show's enduring influence and the doors it opened are undeniable.